Hello everyone, Sheila back again. I'm busy with Dagry's cardigan. This is the first sleeve. I'm halfway up the sleeve. I have done the back, and it is hard to measure this because it's very stretchy. Having to do it on the size of the needles that the pattern says, and this wool is not as thick as chunky, but I've managed. And I think I've got the size right because it's to measure 46, and that is a little bit. I had to do a little bit pattern like that at the back because it's going to have the same pattern like that up there. It's an edge to edge. It hasn't got buttons, and it's going to have that pattern like that up the front, and then it comes up and goes around the back of the neck, so it'll join on across the top of there when I get round to it. But I did a little bit research on this pattern. Yeah, the pattern. It was a free pattern off the site called Barocco. I'll have to have a look somewhere and see how you pronounce that because I'm not sure. But it was a free pattern, and it showed you an example here of the actual wool. Well, the wool that Dagry sent me is not the same as what the cardigan is actually knitted in. And I did a little research and I checked it, and the actual wool that the cardigan is knitted in is discontinued. And I found out why. I wasn't sure whether I was going to have enough balls because I had to do a larger size, and what it said on here with this wool being very thin, not like chunky at all. And it's something to do with it having it's 50% acrylic and 50% nylon. Well, this one here, this is just a little picture they showed of the original thing it was knitted in, is 75% acrylic and 25% nylon. And I looked at the label. I looked at the labels for this wool, and there was only 109 meters in a 100-gram ball. Well, the one I am using, this one, there is 138 meters. So I know that there's going to be enough because there's a lot more, and that's what made me think this wool that it was originally knitted in is a lot thicker than this wool. That's why I've had to do a larger size and try to work it out that it's going to come out right. But anyway, I'm getting the back done. I've only started this on Monday, and I like knitting the chunky because it knits up very quick. And I had a little bit trouble when I'm looking at this bit here. The stitch that is like a straight knit stitch. There's two knit stitches go up there, and this pattern here goes over this knit stitch, and I thought it was a mistake in the pattern, but I had to use a magnifying glass to look on the pattern because it's not all that clear. But it is, that stitch is on the pattern, so I haven't done anything wrong. I thought I'd done something wrong with it at first, and I kept pulling it out and going back a little bit, and then until I got the magnifying glass out and checked the pattern, because you can't see it very well on the pattern. Like I'm seeing, you can't see here because it's not clear enough, but you do have to have a magnifying glass to see that that actual stitch does go over those two stitches, knitted stitches up the side. I've worked it out anyway, and someone likened, I've never knit with, it's a lot of years, I think I've only ever knit a couple of things chunky, and they were for my husband years ago. And I've always knitted with 3-ply, 4-ply or double knitting, so I've never knitted with thick needles for a lot of years. And someone likened, I think it was Michelle from All You Love Is Knitting, I think she likened knitting with pokers. I think you're right, Michelle. That's what it feels like to me. It's took a little bit getting used to the thicker needles, but these are only 6mm, The pattern was supposed to be done on 6.5 millimeters, but I could not get the tension right on. The stitches were just far too big and loose. They're still loose, but at least they look a bit more tidy than they did on the 6.5. So anyway, I'm getting that sorted, and it's not going to take long for this cardigan because of the size of the needles and getting along. But this sleeve doesn't look as wide as what I would normally do on a 46. I mean, I'm not up to the armholes yet, but it looks like I could have done with a few more stitches. Actually, I'm going by a larger size. According to the pattern, this size should come out size 50. But I measured the back, and the back does measure 23 inches, which is half of 46. So these things come to try me, and they definitely do. But I have a little story I'm telling you. I was looking, I'm in one or two groups on Facebook, and one of them is it's just for a local area group beside where, you know, the area where I live in, where people put things in if they have anything to sell, or they're looking for anything, or they want work done, or anything like that. And I was looking through that this morning. I'd just like to have a look to see what's going on in my part of the country. And there was somebody put a post up about horse manure. Showed a picture of a great big lump of it in the middle of the road, and they were complaining about the horse manure in the road. Well, that really made me laugh. Saying it's horse manure, it's great for your garden. And it reminded me when I was a kid, the street I used to live in, where you used to have horse and carts come up and down. Because actually I was born in 1946, so a lot of you younger ones won't know these things. But we used to have horse and carts come up and down the street. I think even the milk used to come on a horse and cart when I was a child. But we used to have the rag and bone man used to come up and down the street on a horse and cart thing. And we even had, I lived opposite Rington's Tea Factory. This was in Heaton in Newcastle. And Rington's Tea Factory was just across the road from where I lived. I actually worked there for a while. But they had horse and carts too, and they used to go around the streets with the horse and carts. Well, whenever there was a horse coming up the street, you could see where we didn't have gardens in the street that I lived in. They were just terraced houses. And a lot of the fellas used to have allotments. And as soon as there was a horse and cart coming up the street, if they were home, they were all standing at the doors with their shovels and their buckets, ready to pick up whatever the horse had left. And we used to have a laugh about that. It was like gold. You know, horse manure, everybody wanted it for their allotment, so they mustn't do things like that now, because this woman, or it wasn't a woman, I think it was a man, was complaining about the pile of horse muck in the street, because there must have been a horse rider had come up the street and dropped its lot, and all the comments that were coming on, all the people complaining how disgusting it was and everything like that. And I don't think it's disgusting. I used to go around where I live. There was a lot of like tracks. There was coal pit heaps and that, and we had a lot of tracks around where I lived where there was stables and there was people on horses used to go around these tracks. And me and my husband, we had one of those great big barrel things on wheels, and we used to walk around the tracks picking up horses' muck, come back for the garden, because, well, it was great for growing things in your garden. And my next door neighbour, one of my next door neighbours at the time, she was not too pleased with us having horse manure in the garden. She'd come into, what are you going to do with that, Sheila? I says, put it in the garden, what do you think? Oh, but the smell, I says, it'll be dug into the soil, nor even smell it. They called her Violet, this neighbour that I had to take. I think my husband used to dig over and used to get the spade and used to waft it like that, so the smell went over into our garden, you know. But that was things horse manure, like I'm saying, it was like gold in my young days. Everybody wanted it for their allotments, and I remember my kids, oh, they weren't too pleased. Well, we're growing potatoes and that, and he was digging the trench and putting some of the horse manure in, and then some soil, and then planting the potatoes on top. And it was my youngest son, I think. He says, "What you doing, man?" I said, "I'm putting some manure in, for the potatoes." "You mean them potatoes I've been eating are grown in horse's muck?" And he wouldn't eat potatoes after that if they come out of my garden. And I says to him, "Where do you think they grow them, in the fields and that? What do you think they grow them in there?" It took him a long time to get round to eating any potatoes. I says, "Well, you're going to have to do without, because I'm not buying them." I says, "I'm growing them in my garden." That's, that's kids for you. They didn't live in anybody my age will know exactly what I'm talking about. Kids these days haven't got a clue. So I'm going to my granddaughter's this afternoon, and it's my oldest grandson Frankie. It's his birthday today, and if my husband had still been alive, it would have been his birthday too. And Frankie was born on the 2nd of March, the same as my husband's birthday, and my husband always said it was the best birthday present he ever had. So I'll be going down to wish him happy birthday. And I will catch up with you all another time, so thumbs up and subscribe. Bye for now.